Welcome back. The time is 8 minutes past 9 in the morning, Central African time. And we're going to be switching gears now to, I think, a very, very interesting story. South Africa's Chief of the Defense Force, General Ruzani Mapwanya, is facing mounting backlash here at home and abroad after some of the comments that he made during his official visit to Iran last week. According to Iranian state media, General Mapwanya suggested that South Africa and Iran share common goals and that Pretoria, South Africa's capital, always stands alongside the oppressed and defenseless people of the world. He also reportedly condemned Israel's actions in Gaza, aligning his rhetoric closely with that of Tehran. But his remarks, according to many, could not have come at a more sensitive time. Back home, President Cyril Ramaphosa is desperately trying to reset relations with the United States of America. This is following the imposition of harsh new trade tariffs by Donald Trump's administration. South African exporters now face a 30% tariff on goods that are entering the US. I think a state of affairs that is putting thousands and thousands of jobs at risk. The presidency and the defense ministry in itself have distanced themselves from the general's comments, calling the visit to Iran ill-advised and unfortunate, while I think another shape, form, arm of the government, the Democratic Alliance, they are in the GNU. They have gone a step further. They're calling for him to be tried in a military court for gross misconduct. So, was this a diplomatic blunder, or does it reveal something deep about the direction of South Africa's foreign and defense policy? And what are the risks for Pretoria as it tries to navigate strained relations with Washington while deepening ties with Iran and maintaining solidarity with the people of Palestine? A stance that our government has been made quite clear, considering the genocide that is unfolding in Gaza at the moment, that is live streamed, and we can all see it and interact with it in real time. So to help us unpack this, we're now joined by Ricardo Teixeir, Defense and National Security Analyst at defenceWeb, and is also editor at ProtectionWeb. Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you giving us your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure's all ours. I think we can kickstart the conversation with why is General Mapwanya's visit to Iran, and some of these comments especially are seen as so controversial. What makes the Democratic Alliance even go as far as saying he should be tried in a military court?
Well, there's a golden rule when it comes to generals, specifically at this high of a rank, when you're representing the entire defense force. And that golden rule is, do not discuss politics. That is not his job. His job is to lead the defense force and to conduct operations that support the global priorities for the South African government. His job is not to discuss them. His job is to follow orders. So this is particularly a sensitive moment as well to have done this. At the same time, we had Parks Tau and Ronald Lamola trying to save our relationship with the United States and to come to some sort of trade agreement. We have a lot of trade with the United States. It's a lot more than we have with Iran. We measure our trade with Iran in the millions of dollars still, where our trade with the US is beyond 5 billion, I believe, or roughly around there. So there was a lot at stake, and it's a very precarious time with the US government is not happy with the South African government. And it was not just insensitive for the chief to have made these comments. It is outside his prerogative and outside his mandate. This is not his job.
Mm-hmm. Is it really that unusual, for a military chief to make a political statement of this nature?
Yes, and I mean, just as a clear example, try and think of another example when this was done. This is not something that normally happens. This is not his job. This is not something his predecessors have done. This is not something he's done before. So again, this was very far out of left field.
Mm. And one thing that was really concerning is the president releasing that statement, calling the visit ill-timed. In your view, was this simply, poor judgment, or does it reveal something a bit deeper when it comes to alignment between the SANDF specifically, maybe not, the presidency or the government, but the SANDF and Iran?
Yeah, this reveals something. First, it reveals that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. This is not a sanction trap. Yes, he had permission to do it last year, but that was permission last year, not at this time. So he should not have gone at this time. The presidency wasn't aware. Deputy Minister of Defense wasn't aware. Durko wasn't aware. He should not have been there. And how he got there as well is another question. That he had to charter an aircraft, because I don't believe he used an official aircraft. And again, there's no official ties with the Iranian military and the Iranian government in South Africa. They are not an ally. We do not have any treaties with Iran. Iran is we may have a cordial diplomatic relationship, but Iran is at no point a priority ally of the South African government. That we do not have, although he said that our views are aligned, South Africa's foreign policy focuses on supporting human rights and democracy, and those are two things that are not a priority for the Iranian government.
The Democratic Alliance, as I've mentioned, has called for General Mapanya to face a military court. Is there precedent for such disciplinary action, especially against a defense chief, so someone of such high ranking?
There is although rare, there is a precedent for consequences of that nature. I don't believe a military court is necessary. It would be strange, considering he would be the highest ranking person in the room. Considering his age and the time of his tenure, it would just be easier to just dismiss him outright. That is within the president's powers and his prerogative to just tell him, put him on early retirement, tell him, you have till the end of the month, but your time's up. There's no need for a lengthy court martial.
And just lastly, before I let you go, this episode specifically, how does it tie into the broader criticism that South Africa's foreign policy almost lacks clarity and consistency?
Again, South Africa's foreign policy is African unity, human rights, and democracy. None of those things are found in Iran. So again, it is a time where we need a more concise foreign policy. We need not just more concise, but more thorough and effective foreign policy, specifically from the defense force. Now, their job is deterrence, and deterrence relies on capability and credibility. You can't have one without the other. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of credibility because of an underfunding incapability, and that came out on full display in the Second Battle of Goma and under Sammy DRC earlier this year. For him to start doing this sort of thing further damages our credibility and our deterrence, because, again, this is not the chief's job.
No, I think we're going to end on that note. Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you giving us your time this morning. That was editor at ProtectionWeb, defense and national security analyst, also Ricardo Teixeir, taking us through, I think, that very, very bizarre state of affairs. The military chief, SNDF military chief, making his way to Iran on what is looking to be an unsanctioned trip. The presidency says it was ill-advised, it was ill-timed, and they didn't really know much about it. So I think this is quite concerning that an army chief, general of such high standing, was it his prerogative? Is our relationship with Iran maybe something that the SANDF in their own quarters and as an institution, I think it's important at this stage, maybe more than the presidency and the government in itself, and just the lack of coordination from those two fronts. How concerning is it? So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And again, thank you so much to Ricardo Teixeir, defense and national security analyst at defenceWeb and editor at ProtectionWeb, helping us unpack the fallout of a General Ruzani Mapwanya's controversial Iran visit and what it could ultimately mean for South Africa's delicate balancing act on the global stage. Is already being condemned by the government, and I think it will be interesting just looking ahead if President Cyril Ramaphosa, I think, as Ricardo is stating there, could maybe dismiss him, or maybe just have the matter be quietly contained. But I think we should not, mistaken the fact that as much as this has happened, it doesn't necessarily mean that South Africa needs to, now change look and trying to reconfigure so some of the friends that it has, some of the partners that we've had throughout the years, Iran being one of them, at the consequence of the unhappiness of the United States of America. The 30% tariff hike has already happened. It was going to happen anyway, whether the general goes to Iran and meets his counterparts in that part of the world. So I don't know, man. I think I'll go back to that that quote from Nelson Mandela that he made back in the United States. I think it was right after he got released in the early 90s when he went to the United States, and he was questioned on some of the friends and, partners that South Africa is choosing post 1994. The likes of Iran, for instance, the likes of Palestine, the likes of, Cuba, so some of these countries, and Russia, some of these countries which just played a really, really important role when it comes to, assisting South Africans in their quest to dismantle the apartheid system. And Nelson Mandela simply said the mistake that the West makes is to think their adversaries, and I'm just paraphrasing, their adversaries and their enemies, our friends, are enemies of South Africa. So I think it was very, very important to note. And I think, maybe the government of the day is sparkling under the pressure of Trump 2.0. But I think we shouldn't forget that we have strategic partners and strategic friends from the whole world, and they don't necessarily have to align with the United States or align with the Western world. South Africa is still sovereign. We get to choose our friends, and if Iran is one of them, which they are, because they now fall under the BRICS bloc, we shouldn't be embarrassed to say it, or now try and sever those ties because of America and how they feel about them. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be having our hashtag Africa Muslims Agency Fired Up feature, brought to you by Africa Muslims Agency and their CEO, Hafiz Imran Chunara. There's a part of the show where he gives a motivational segment, gets you excited, gets you all revved up to go to tackle whatever that you're facing in your life, whether it's personal, whether it's finances, whether it's relationships. And today's topic is a really, really interesting one. He's saying, do to others what you wish them to do unto you. Bit biblical. It's going to be a great listen. We'll see you after this.